Welcome to This Got Me Thinking, a podcast where clarity comes from conversations and the connections that spark from them. I am your host, Chris LaFay, and today I had the pleasure of chatting with Mark Saminsky. Mark is one of those rare people who did what most business owners wish they could do. He figured out how to get noticed. But what happens when visibility outpaces structure? When you built a strong personal brand, but you're not quite sure what it is you're actually selling. And that's where Mark found himself, running two businesses, fielding constant opportunities, which sounds so sad, right? Realizing that the hardest decision wasn't how to grow, but what to say no to. And I'll let Mark tell his story. So what have you tried so far to take this, what I'll call vast amount of awareness, and try to get people to convert some?
So I think it comes down to first understanding the structure. The easiest way to explain it is I've always thought, for better or for worse, I'm about to turn 30, so I have hopefully a lot more business. Hopefully, I have a lot more business life left in me. But for what it's worth, like right now, my current business structure, if you think about it, is I have two businesses. I like to think of it as two silos. I have Samansky Media, which is everything that I would do from a content and media perspective. I just do it under that umbrella, that hat. I think of it more closer to the vest, closer to me. Like it really relies on me more because I'm the face of that currently. I have to make the content, educate the people. It's my reputation like heavily wrapped into that. So that's just, the name of that LLC more or less, right? And that's like my personal channels and everything that I do there. And then the other business is the one that I started first. It was called Find It Tech originally. Hated that name. Recently changed it to Motive 11. And that is that's my agency. That's as simple as you make it, right? Like that's my, that's the thing where you need website, you need whatever, you need digital marketing type thing, which is, another situation. But like that is the service-based business that I have that relies on me less, truthfully. Like, I mean, I've started to evolve there, not as, as more of a, a agency owner that doesn't just do all the work myself. So I have those two prongs there. So it's good to set that up. What have I done to actually convert some of these things? I mean, a bunch of different stuff. I mean, this is where I feel like it gets really squishy, especially for people maybe that are watching that don't, maybe a lot of your listeners perhaps are, people that are agency owners, right? Like they're either operating off of referral or they have some sort of ad system going or they have, some other way to generate leads, SEO, etc. If they're not in the content world and like what I would call we're all in it to a degree, but if they're not in the business of just gaining attention and visibility as much as possible, like YouTube is, then it's kind of a totally different world. But I'm giving all this context because the things that I've tried, it's cool to have like 6,000 or so, whatever subscribers on YouTube, but it means nothing unless you can actually convert them into something, right? Because you're getting very little revenue off of that situation unless you go the extra mile to like get extra sponsorships and all these other things. So what I've tried to do, and this is, again, I'm giving you a lot of context instead of answering the direct answer. The problem is I created a situation where the audience that I was building wasn't necessarily aligned with the audience that I was initially serving over in like Motive 11, right? So I think I know it's a long-winded way to get here, but I think you can kind of understand that, right? It's like we're building websites for business owners. We're building websites for law firms or construction people, et cetera, whatever, right? They don't really care how to use Elementor or Bricks or et cetera to do something. They don't care that. But I cared about that and I wanted to share that with people. So my audience has generally been kind of crafted of my peers and people that want to do the things that I do. But I still have this other business over here that makes money and I would like to scale, but it's not the same audience. So I've done that over the past 2 years. I've ran these two things kind of like parallel to one another.
Have you moved yourself to that expert seat and started to divide out Mark the person versus Mark the business owner to where your business is not your 100% identity?
the trouble that I've had is just a lot of like mental battles. So I went into the whole tutorial thing and everything like that, and then like, oh, like, is this even relevant? Like, what am I even like? Who am I even talking to? Et cetera, all this, and that kind of triggered what you're talking about. It triggered the idea of like, I'm more than just WordPress tutorials or technical stuff or whatever. The more you do stuff like this, I feel like, any sort of, you know, like in tune person, like introspective person ends up being like, I could do a lot more than this. Like, I don't have to just be the person that's building the website or just the technical, person the whole time. Like, if you want to become an entrepreneur, then you have to ultimately at some point, like, you could be a solopreneur, but like ultimately, like, you have to at some point, like, try to remove yourself. And that's what I've started to explore with. I mean, on the one side, I've hired a video editor, simple step, but like also like I don't have to do that work anymore. On the other side, I've hired like a designer and developer for a couple projects. Like, okay, that's moving in that direction. But it took a long time for me to get there, honestly, because I had this problem, but I'm trying to articulate it in the way that I actually had it. Maybe for some other people, I had it more from the content made me become that way. It's like we all go through these phases of our life where we change, right? Like at first we're like just like the person that knows how to build WordPress websites. And it's like, okay, I'm going to build a WordPress website. I'm going to take some money from somebody in order to do it. Okay, that's great. That's first phase. Well, then it's like, okay, now you learn a lot of other aspects and you realize that you're really doing like jobs for like multiple people if you're doing this properly. And it doesn't get very sustainable. And then your life changes, you have a family now. Yeah, we don't need to go super personal, obviously, but like you have a family, you have except like you're, there's just so many other pieces. It's not like we're just in business, 24/7, a lot of us. So then you have that. And I feel like I'm in that part of the change now where it's like, I've literally been telling myself recently, I need to work less, but be more effective, because I feel like I've worked constantly, like really hard, and I haven't seen the returns that I should, because I know that like I'm not just completely, I know that I'm providing value, but I'm not the conversion of value plus like time in, value out, and ultimately like money revenue out is not perfect there. So again, to answer your question in a long-winded way, I think that I am now at the point where I realize it's not all me. It is definitely only one aspect of me. But I do think this is a really important point, that the way that I implemented that initially was wrong. But yeah, I am definitely zoomed out. I'm like probably one of the most introspective persons that you'd meet. And I probably think too much. That's actually probably my biggest problem.
One question I really like to ask folks, and you can take this in any direction that you would like to, is how are you defining success right now?
I actually think that I'll zoom out and then I'll come back into the business part of it. Like, I actually think that my life has like been great, like, and successful in so many ways. But like going into this business and trying to like dig deeper into this has really like shown me and made me think, obviously, a lot more about like what my version of success is holistically, but then also independently. I think that the best way that I would know to answer that question is success in business versus, there's probably like a few pillars, right? There's like wealth, health, relationships, spiritual, like whatever else you want to do there. I think honestly, a lot of them are great. The business one, my definition of success that I kind of set out for myself probably like a month or two ago is I would love to get to $30,000 per month. And I have a couple videos, couple like shorts or whatever, where I was explaining all this. Like, how did I get to that number? I didn't just pull it out of thin air. It was like, we are, took current financial status into play, took the fact that I'm about to be 30, so I need to like, focus up and change some things. Took the fact that we are about to have a child in May of 2026. So thank you. So I would love for my wife to be able to spend as much time, and me, but I'd love to have a situation where I could like replace her income, and everything like that. So we could have that type of situation going on, at least for the, the early years of our child's life. So all of those things in play. Like, business is important, but it's also like kind of the fuel for the personal side of things, right? So My definition of success, specifically from the business side, is literally I want to hit those numbers. I want to be able to provide for my family, um, while also not like completely hating my life, I guess. Like while also not being able to be. I want to be present and I want to be a provider. That's pretty much my entire definition of success. So that's why in this interim period here, it's like, okay, I need to make sure, because I'm not perfect, that I'm putting that as my main goal. And it sounds so annoying to me because like I don't ever want to come across like all I care about is money. And everyone has always tried to put this in like eloquent ways to like express that, but it's a lot of it is about money. Like we're doing this to make money, we're doing it to provide value, but like ultimately at the end of the day, we need the value I need the money to feel comfortable enough to continue to provide the value, because that's kind of how it all goes around, right? Like that's literally the entire cycle. And then hopefully you can provide value to more people and they can make money from those skills. And it actually all works when you keep it, I feel like, objective like that. Not to say it isn't hard, but yeah, that's my main definition of success.
The question I want to talk a little bit about today is, what direction is your network taking you? And I know that for myself, as a founder ran business who I do all of the lead gen and the sales, it's easy to let kind of the tides of your network determine the direction of your business. So I know that in my business, as we grew and as we scaled, we actually kind of had the opposite effect. We grew and scaled, and our minimum project price for web increased step by step by step by step by step. And it actually increased fairly drastically, fairly quickly. And I'm not sad about that. Like we did a lot of really good work with those projects, but I realized that my network was not able to keep up. And so as our project minimums kept increasing, and the types of clients and the people that worked at those businesses who I was actively trying to sell, those types of folks were not going into my network nearly as quickly as I needed them to. And so I actually had this divergence, if you will, of my business required a network that looked like large CMOs with large budgets, whereas my network was supporting agency owners with referrals and slightly smaller budgets for more the legitimately small to medium-sized businesses. And without really taking a good look at both network and what types of projects I could take on, without really coming to the realization that those two things were not congruent with one another, there was a potential recipe there to where the business would go downhill. Now, obviously, could I put in some different types of lead generation mechanisms and different sales motions and whatnot to get me in front of the right audience? Absolutely, I could. But that was a risk that I personally did not want to take. And I didn't think that those efforts would come to full fruition within the amount of time that I needed it to. And so I felt like there was the slightly safer bet of kind of restructuring the business around these different types of projects that we were working on 2 or 3 years prior, and letting my network grow organically from that and then scale back up larger later. So thinking about what Mark is talking about in terms of, these two separate audiences and trying to figure out what direction does he want to take things, that my challenge to you is, if you've hit this stalled place in your business, look at where are your leads coming from? What lead generation motions are you actively making? If you are the founder and you're doing a lot of the lead gen yourself, what do you enjoy doing? What are the types of people that you get energy being around? And does that line up with the types of clients that your business has historically had? And if there is a difference there, are you willing to actually make a pivot? That's what Mark got me thinking.